What's going on, family? And I know it's interesting that a lot of times we want to have guests on our show, or we want to have individuals to where we can share each other's audiences. And today, I want to show you my specific strategy, step by step, for how I secure podcast guests. Because one great thing about podcasting guests or having guests on your show is that they ultimately help you multiply yourself and they help you multiply your marketing efforts. So today, I'm going to show you how to secure podcast guests step by step. Let's go and get to the intro. Welcome to the Your Podcast Mentor Show with Jonathan Jones. Here you will learn how to start, launch, and monetize your podcast. In addition to hearing the latest trends and the latest and greatest things happening in the podcast industry. Are you ready? What is going on? What is going on? What is going on, family? So look, just like I said, today we're diving in. We're talking about how to secure podcast guests. One of my favorite things about having a podcast is the conversations that we get to have with the guests that we get to host, in addition to being able to leverage each other's following. But even outside of that, having the opportunity to just build new relationships, connect with other people, and also have the opportunity to extend your reach. So if you're currently watching us on YouTube, I would encourage you to make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Just type in Jonathan Jones Speaks and then search it, and then our channel should be the first to pop up. Make sure you subscribe and then hit that notification bell so you get notified every time that we go live on the show. And the reason I wanted to cover this topic specifically today is because I was talking with a fellow podcaster of mine, and he is I Am Big Moves. Shout out to I Am Big Moves. And he was just talking about the guest acquisition process. And I said, you know what? That's a great idea, because I haven't thought about putting an episode out about it. So then I said, let me go to the drawing board and let me really break this thing down on ultimately helping other individuals secure guests. So the first thing that we have to understand when it comes to securing a podcast guest, the first thing that you want to make sure that you know your mission. You get your mission, okay? And this is going to be an acrostic. It's going to go down. It's going to spell guest. But if you don't get your mission for your show, then when you reach out to a guest, how will they know if they're a good fit or not? If you don't get the mission for your show, then ultimately, how will you even know if this guest makes sense for your audience? So you want to get clear on what your mission is for your show. And that way, when you begin to reach out, then you'll be able to let them know the purpose of this podcast is blank, blank, blank. And then they'll hear it and they'll say, oh, I want to be a part of that. Or they'll say, oh, I don't think that's the best fit for you. So first things first is you have to get your mission. The second thing we have to make sure that we do is we understand who our audience wants to hear. And the reason I'm saying that is because on my first podcast, Speak Your Success, I was excited to have the opportunity to interview a few different people, only to later realize that they weren't meant for my show. The content they were sharing wasn't going to benefit the audience in the way that I thought it was. Okay, so you want to make sure that the people that you're tapped in with and the people that you're beginning to reach out to, connect to, or even you're like, hey, you should be a guest on my show. Don't just throw it out there like that, because everybody should not be a guest for your show. Everybody is not a fit for your show. And then even outside of that, do you even want to interview these people? Because if you don't even want to interview these people, then why are you even telling them that they should be a guest for your show? Okay. So we got to get our mission. We got to understand who our audience wants to hear from. The next thing is you have to extract your feelings. You have to take your feelings out of the equation, out of the situation, because when it comes to making certain that you're getting the qualified guest and you're getting people who deserve to be on your platform, they're going to be people that say yes. When you get people who are meant to be on your platform, they're going to be the ones who reach out to you and they do everything that you ask versus the ones who never respond. Okay. And just letting you all know, make sure you stay to the end of this episode, because at the end, I'm going to roll out the exact way that I reach out to guests. I'm in the exact way. And as you all who've been following me for a little bit, you know, I've had guests from the 14-year-old motivational speaker who's gone across the world, King Na. I've had Dior Walker Scott from Last Chance U. I've had Deshaun Hyler from Last Chance U, Marcus Colston, Nick Swisher. So MLB players, NFL players, people all across. And I'm going to give you all the strategy today. So make sure you stay to the end. So you have to extract your feelings when you make the list of people that you want to get on your show. Make the list 20 people, make it 30 people deep. So that way, when you begin to reach out, you might get 3 responses back. You might get 5 responses back. You might get 10 responses back. Who knows? But either way, just focus on the ones that respond back, not the ones who don't. Because one thing I did, I reached out to an actor, reached out to him because he was on one of my favorite TV shows. He didn't respond to me. Maybe a month later, he ended up responding back to me. He was like, hey, man, I love what you're doing. Yeah, man, we should get up. Imagine if I got mad at him. I cussed him out in the DMs, and, you know, I gave him some choice words, and then I could have been blocked, or I might have never heard from that individual again. So let's make sure and let's make certain that we extract our feelings from the equation and from the situation. That way, we make sure that we keep on rolling, we keep on moving, keep that positive energy, and then we make the interview that comes up next, we make it happen. Okay. So after we extract our feelings, next things we do, we shoot our shot. You have to shoot your shot. Okay. You have to shoot your shot. If you never, what Michael Jordan said, I think it was Michael Jordan. He basically said, I can't make any shots that I don't take. So if you never reach out to anyone and you never take the time to say, hey, I would love to have you on my show, then you'll never know if it could have actually happened. All right. So you make sure you shoot your shot. And then the last point I have for you is try to be personable. You want to make it as personal as possible. All right. If you can put a certain touch on it to where people know it's you based on like an emoji that you used, or based on you send them a video or an audio memo or whatever it might be. But you have to be as personable as possible. All right. And really quick for everybody who's rocking, if you text, right? If you text hashtag contest or # contest to 678-658-3627, we're getting ready to do a VIP ticket giveaway for PodFest. All right, PodFest 2021 is coming up in about a week. So text # contest to 678-658-3627. That way, when we roll out the contest, you'll be the first to know. All right. Now's the part to where I'm going to walk you all exactly through the strategy that I use for securing guests. Okay. Exactly through the strategy, not holding back nothing, just giving you the game. Okay. So here we go. So the first thing that I always do is I typically go about the route on Instagram, right? So I'll search for the people on Instagram. So let's say it's an athlete. But once again, like I said, you want to have a list of like 15 to 20 or 15 to 30 people. So I'm looking at this athlete's page. I'm scrolling down. I'm like, okay, I want to get this guy or I want to get this young lady on the page, on the podcast. So after I find them, of course, I follow. I will like a few pictures, like 2 to 3 pictures, and then I'll comment something thoughtful under the picture. Okay. Comment something thoughtful under the picture, like the picture, and then also comment on their stories. John, why do you comment on their stories? Because when you comment on their stories, it sends them a direct message. Okay, so comment on their stories, like a picture, and then comment something thoughtful on their page. After I do that, the next thing I do is then I slide in the DMs with the video message. Slide in the DMs with a video message. I say, hey, what's going on, Kevin? It's Jonathan Jones. I have a podcast, and I think you would be a great fit, right? I love the work that you've done, and I would love to talk more about that on the podcast. Hit me back if you would like to learn more. Hit me back if you want to talk about it more. Right? So letting them know you like what they're doing, letting them know, like, you butter them up a little bit. So let them know you like what they're doing. Let them know that based on what you've seen on their page, you think they'd be a good fit, right? So give them a little bit of butter, put a little bit of butter on that popcorn. And then when they respond, one thing that I found is really, really beneficial is you providing them with a link to a form that's easy to fill out, to where it will directly go to your calendar and it'll directly go to their calendar. They have many forms that do this. They have Calendly that does it. I have 17 hats, and I've integrated it within my website to where you can go on my website and then you can fill out the form and it will send you a link. Okay, I'm about to show y'all behind the curtain really quick, because a form makes this process super, super, super easy. But let me just recap the steps. But before we get to the form, the first thing you want to do is you want to make the list of like 20 to 30 people. All right. Then you want to go to the first person, like a few photos, comment on the story. Then you want to slide in the DM with the video message. Hey, what's going on? Such and such. I just want to reach out. I love the work that you're doing. I have a podcast that's geared towards helping student athletes. I think you have a lot to share with them, and I would love to have you as a guest on my podcast. Hit me back. Let me know what you think. Then when they respond, right? That's when you let them know, I'm going to hit you with this link. So now let me show you what my link look like. So we'll go here. So this is an actual page on my website. It's jonathanjonespeaks.com/guest. As you can see, it does not show up here because I don't want just anybody and everybody filling out this form to be on my podcast, because everybody is not a fit. But let's keep scrolling down, and I'm gonna take myself out the screen just so you can see the whole thing. Okay, so now we'll scroll down, and you see on this form, they get the option to click a date, right? They click a date because I made Wednesday my podcast day. So they can click a date, and then down at the bottom, you see it says, thank you for agreeing to be a guest on Beyond the Ball. Tells them this interview will be taking place via audio and video recording. We just ask that you're in a location that's distraction-free with no background noise, the best possible lighting, and the interview will range from 30 to 45 minutes. Just about your story and what things or tips you might like to share with the student athlete to assist them in their journey. Also, please keep in mind that this interview typically will be shared 2 to 3 weeks after its recording. So why do I do all of that? I do all of that. One, let me come back on the screen. I do all of that for the first point, to make sure that they are aware of what they're expecting, right? Just so they don't expect to do the interview and then it pop up the next day, okay? But I do that because I want them to realize that, okay, it's gonna come in a couple of weeks. And then in addition to doing that, I let them know what I'm expecting them to do for the show, right? Sharing their personal experience, sharing their journey so they can do what? Assist student athletes. Okay, so I'm gonna take myself off the screen one more time. And those of you who are listening to the audio, let me be clear. Those of you who are listening to the audio, you can go to jonathanjonespeaks.com/guest to see this page. I'll put it in the show notes, but please do not fill out the form. Please do not fill out the form. But it's a calendar. It says November, and it has Wednesdays open to book a podcast interview. And then just below, it has a little snippet that tells them what I'm expecting, right? Letting them know that the interview will be 30 to 45 minutes, letting them know who my target audience is for this show, and also letting them know that the recording will typically be live 2 to 3 weeks after recording, okay? So there's that, and then we go down a little bit lower, and then you see it's a morning and afternoon, so giving them some options to choose from just in regards to what time they would be available for the interview. Now I'm gonna click one of the times, and then it leads to a page where it says first name, last name, email, phone number, and then they can write an extra message if they just want to give me some additional information, or if they have any questions, and they can go and do that there. And then there's a button at the bottom that says book. Okay, button at the bottom that says book. And I'll just fill it out with my name, fill it out, and I'm gonna click book. And then after you go through that process, then the last page says your Beyond the Ball podcast interview has been successfully booked. It's booked for November 10th, 2021, 9:15 a.m. We are good to go. Please mark your calendar for the date and time that you have signed up for. Jonathan is looking forward to speaking with you. And then there's a HTML link down at the bottom where people can click, and then they can join the Zoom room of where that podcast recording will take place. Okay, so let me go and stop sharing my screen. But I wanted to walk you through all of that just so you can see the beginning and the end of ultimately how to get podcast guests. I'll walk through the framework of guest one time, and then I'm going to go ahead and hit back on the steps that I use to specifically reach out strategically. Okay. So the first one, I said, you want to get your mission together. You want to know what's the mission of your podcast. Like for this one with your podcast mentor with Jonathan Jones, the mission is to help 1,000. The mission is to help 1,000 speakers, authors, and consultants start, launch, and monetize their podcast. That's the mission of this podcast. So if somebody who is a trucker, they might not be the best fit to be a guest on this podcast. All right. So keep that in mind. So get your mission together. The next thing is you want to understand who your audience wants to hear from. Ask your audience, who would they want you to interview? Right. There was one point in time where I asked my audience, who would you like to see more of? Somebody told me they want to see a WNBA player. Somebody told me they want to see some other female athletes. And that's who I started to reach out to. But then there were some scheduling conflicts, so I couldn't get some young ladies on. But you want to know the pulse of your audience and who they want to hear from. Okay. That's the you. Understand who your audience wants to hear. The next one, extract your feelings. Some interviews you're going to land, some interviews you're not. That's just how it goes. Some messages, DMs will get read, some will not. That's just how it goes. Keep your feelings out of it because feelings don't have a place in business. Remember that. And then you got to shoot your shot. Shoot your shot. Reach out to the person, reach out to the individual. And then right here, this is the part where you slide in the DMs. This is the part where you comment on a few pictures. This is the part where you send them a video message and let them know, hey, I'm Jonathan Jones. I have a podcast. I love seeing the work that you do. I think my podcast would be great for you to share your story. Boom. Just like that. Wait for them to respond, right? Wait for them to respond. Just like I said, you want to try and be as personable as possible. And then after that, you shoot them the link. You shoot them a Calendly link. You shoot them a Zoom scheduling link. You send them a Google link on the calendar. Whatever, Apple, iCal, whatever you have. Send them that link, get them on your calendar, and then make sure to follow up with them leading up to the interview date and the interview time. All right. If this was beneficial for you at all and you're watching on YouTube, I would love if you just commented in the YouTube comment section and just let me know like if it was beneficial for you, or also what topics you would like me to address next, right? You would like me to address next. And last but not least, I want to hit this one more time. Be sure to text # contest to 678-658-3627. Be sure to text # contest to 678-658-3627. That way you'll be notified as soon as we roll out the contest, giving away a free VIP ticket to PodFest Expo 2021. You're not going to want to miss it. It's like almost 50 speakers. And with this ticket, you will not only get to attend, but you will also get access to the recordings. So you don't want to miss out on that at all. But family, like I always tell you all, if you have any questions, be sure to submit your question. Go to jonathanjonespeaks.com/mentor, submit your question. And family, man, until next time, right? Until next time, if you're getting any value from the show, I would encourage you to go on Apple Podcasts. I would encourage you to, rate and review the show. And I'd love to shout you out. All right. Love to shout you out. My YouTube family, looking forward to connecting with you all, commenting back and forth. And until next time, family, till next time. Remember, the purpose of this show is to help you establish your brand, right? Establish your platform so that you ultimately can profit with purpose from your podcast. Peace and God bless.